Hey everyone, and welcome to Holding the Line with Got Your Six Counseling. I'm Peggy, and this is Brittany. This is a space where we get real about the shit nobody wants to talk about: mental health, life, trauma, healing, and everything in between. Sometimes we get clinical, sometimes we get messy, but it's always honest. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't therapy, and it's not a substitute for professional care. We're not here to provide therapy, diagnose, or treat. If you're struggling with mental health, please reach out to a licensed provider. You don't have to go through it alone. We've got your six. We're just two trauma therapists showing up as humans first, ready to have real, unfiltered conversations about the stuff that matters. We're here to break the stigma, share what we've learned from both sides of the therapy room, and talk about the challenges people face every day, especially in the veteran and first responder communities. Whether it's trauma, burnout, relationships, identity, or just getting through the week, we believe that these conversations matter. They deserve space, and that's what we're holding the line for. So let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Holding the Line with Got Your Six. We are your hosts. If you're watching, you know us by now. I don't feel like I need to keep introducing us, okay?
This is Brittany.
We're your hosts, okay? Today is episode 5 of season 2, sort of, yes. When your give a damn's broke. Today we're talking about burnout, compassion fatigue, caregiver stress. Like when I think about Sabina wanting to be a metro train driver because she wouldn't have to interact with people, that I was like, man, that feels like you're a little burnt out.
Or I feel like it's really appropriate, like you start looking at jobs that don't have to deal with people at all. Or like, you start rethinking your feet and be like, maybe they are pretty enough.
My feet definitely aren't cute enough. Even pedicured, I don't feel like I have the feet for an OnlyFans for feet, only feet. I don't have.
There's something for everybody, I feel like.
That's fair. That's fair. And also, it's understandable that depending on your line of work, that you might be like, you know what, I just want a job where I don't have to do any of these things or interact with humans because interacting sucks.
I think there's a lot of signs when your give a damn is broken because, like, you just feel like it's loading constantly, whether it is your compassion or your just ability to be with people. And, like, you just sit there and you're buffering.
The hamster's falling off the wheel, right? That's how I always feel. Like my hamster's off the wheel. What's happening here? You look like you're listening and engaging, but there's not a whole lot happening up here because you're very checked out.
Yeah, like, the only thought in there is going, you know what? Tacos sound great right now.
Indeed, right? You're thinking about so many other things. You're not even focused. Like unable to concentrate and feeling detached. Probably a pretty good sign that you're starting to lean more towards burnout, which is not the same as compassion fatigue. We're going to talk about that because they're not the same. It makes Peggy's eye twitch when people say that they're the same.
Mm-mm. And we're going to talk about why this topic matters, though.
It does matter. And I think we should normalize it more than we do, right? Because there's like, for me, there's very much a stigma to myself in that, like, if I'm not functioning at this level, that's burning me out, that I'm not doing my job or I'm a failure. And I feel like a lot of people probably sit with that too. It doesn't make you a failure to take time for yourself, which I'm getting better for. Noted, we had to wait to record this session, not session, but this episode until I was less stressed out because I was feeling very seen by all this. So admittedly, people get burned out. Doesn't mean you don't like your job, just means that you're overwhelmed.
This week has been a hot dumpster fire. Mercury is in the microwave. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Mercury's in the microwave till the 20th of this month. So just hold on tight.
But we got a lot of professions that tend to be at risk for burnout, compassion fatigue, caregiver stress. I want to acknowledge caregivers in this one, and we're going to talk in depth about them later on in this, but like caregivers do not get enough acknowledgement about it, and like they have a lot of symptoms that are similar to PTSD. Again, we're going to go into depth about this. Helpers at risk, like therapists, nurses, any of the people in the hospital, okay? Teachers.
Yep, all of them.
Teachers, first responders, military and leadership, and caregivers. So, like, people who care often, like, care the most often, get hit and hit that wall the
And God
hardest.
forbid you're more than one of those people in that list that we just said. It's not all inclusive, right? There are
Yeah.
lots of professions that can lead to burnout. But if you're one of those and a caregiver for a parent or a family member or a special needs child or a kid with a lot of medical issues, then you're doubly getting attacked nonstop with stuff. It's work stuff or it's caregiving stuff.
Big burnout research is explained by Christina Maslach, one of the most cited researchers about burnout. She developed the Maslach burnout inventory, still widely used in psychology and workplace research. Her models define burnout through three dimensions: emotional exhaustion, just feeling drained and unable to give emotionally, depersonalization, cynicism, emotionally distancing from clients and patients, treating people like problems rather than individuals, reduced personal accomplishment, feeling like you're ineffective or that your work has little impact on people.
I think that's where the imposter syndrome comes in for people like us, and where we're burnt out, we're trying to do our best, we're chugging along, but we feel like that day I told Christina when I think I was a resident, and I was like, I'm an awful therapist and none of my patients are doing well. And she's like, I don't believe that. You mean that not one single of your patients, not a single one is doing well? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess they're doing well. What about this person? Yeah, they're doing okay too, right? Like they're making progress. She's like, so I think that's where the imposter syndrome comes in for people, or that feeling of failure, because it's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not making a difference, which is
But
not
this
true.
is but this is where people get burnout and compassion fatigue missed out, like confused, because burnout is driven by organizational and systemic issues and not simply individual weakness.
Right.
Like, these two are very, very different.
Yeah. I was there. I had organizational and systemic issues. Okay. I have bad executive functioning, right? Which is why Peggy and I compliment each other, because she's excellent at it and I am not. But the irony is that the same qualities that make us good helpers, or you a good helper, if you're in one of those professions or another, empathy, responsibility, being dedicated to your work. We don't mean overachieving, because that's another way to lead to burnout real quick, but it makes us extremely vulnerable. Did I just say vulnerable? Vulnerable to burnout. It's Friday, okay? Words are hard.
Yep. But like burnout has been long studied. Herbert Freudenberger in 1974, he used the term burnout to describe the collapse that occurs after prolonged stress and overwork. So, like, we're going to go into the emotional exhaustion. I have nothing left to give. Cynicism. Clients start to feel like problems instead of people. And that reduced sense of accomplishment again. Nothing feels like you do actually helps them. Like you're sitting in that chair and going, okay, like what are we
What are we
even doing
doing?
here?
Yeah. What am I going to do next? I don't feel like I'm helping this person. And you're zoomed in too close. You're burnt out. You got to take a step back.
Yeah. Because like we start to get into note overload, high case demands where like we're maybe we should like not do 40 patients a week because that's too much.
Yeah, Peggy, you don't do 40 patients a week.
Not, I take every other Friday off now. I'm doing great at that. I took a step back because in residency, I was like, maybe I'm going to see all the people.
Yep.
Worst thing I ever did.
Well, that's the pressure there to just get your license in a certain amount of time, and you can't control people canceling or discontinuing services. And so there's always that pressure. Once you get licensed, you're able to take a step back and be like, it's okay. But if I can teach any resident or student, is like to do that sooner than we
Or
did.
the DBT purists that are emotionally available to their patients 24/7.
That's a
Like
lot. That's a
they're
lot. It's overwhelming.
yeah, answering calls to your patients or emails. Like it was learning how to put down the phone and the email after hours. That my clock out time is my clock out time because like
Right.
everybody else gets a clock out time. Why do I not get a clock out time?
Right. Well, in your situations, what's the word I'm looking for? Different, because you work from home. We're like, I can walk out of here. I never work from home, by the way. I can leave here and try to leave everything behind. I might work over the weekend, but I'm not responding to emails. I'm going to see it. I'm going to star it. I'll schedule send it, but you're probably not going to get a response back to me over the weekend unless there is an actual emergency. And people, our patients know that and they respect it, right? Um,
Admin stuff. Like a lot of people deal with admin in their off time instead of during the business hours.
mhm.
And so
But
you're
if you're
taking
a
work home with
nurse
you.
or a
Yeah.
therapist, right? Like you don't have time. It's go,
Hmm.
go, go. For some of us, we're very much like every hour on the hour with patients. And so for us clinicians that work here that have admin work to do, we have to make time for that, which I have done, by the way. I have all day Monday to do admin work and time in between. So the functioning improves and you feel better in terms of getting things done, right? So, what are some signs that we've seen in people, clinicians, because that's who we are in terms of burnout?
Overly porky. Yeah.
It's
Overly
quirky back
porky.
there. Yeah.
It is the constant, I am bad, like it's internalized, I am bad all the time. I could never do good enough for anyone or anybody, whether it is my family or my patients, because then it is crossed over into home life too.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That it affects every aspect of your life and a level like areas of functioning. When I was it was like I couldn't I felt buried. Like I was just drowning all the time. Like I just couldn't get a leg up. And whatever I did, I was not getting ahead until I did, right? So that relieves some of it, but overloading yourself is also a trauma response. We're going to talk more about that in a different episode, but doing work nonstop is a response to trauma because you don't want to be still. We've got some things going on upstairs about your lack of functioning, which then just perpetuates the cycle. It's a system problem, not a personal weakness. That's what Peggy said before. And I feel like we need to keep reiterating that because it makes people feel like they are just not doing good enough.
Because then it perpetuates a bodily response of anxiety too in a lot of these people where they're so overly anxious of, I don't have enough time, I don't know have enough hours in the day, I can't get
Mm-hmm.
anything done, because then it comes off as not just like a trauma response, then we're coming into anxiety, just unnatural anxiety all the time.
I think it's an important thing that we need to like touch on here too, because people will say, "Oh, they're anxious," but you don't feel anxious, right? Because there's that like stereotype that anxious people are like fidgety and they have all these stereotypical anxiety symptoms or they're worried about things all the time. But a lot of times, anxiety and even depression from things like this can look a lot like anger and frustration and irritability. That typical anxiety doesn't manifest in everyone the same way. So people around you are like, you're an anxious person. And you're like, why are you gaslighting me? You are anxious in a different way than what you would expect.
Lack of ADLs, and I have seen this,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
you stop caring for yourself in the way that you used to.
Or others, or your house, or whatever that looks like, right? You're just lacking all around because you've got nothing left to give. Social relationships, I think, take the first hit personally, right? Because,
Friendships, like you stop going out, you stop doing the things like you enjoyed.
and I might not even respond as much just because, like, there's so much overload already that you can't handle another thing. Even if it's a conversation in jest, right? Like none of that feels like it's giving you relief. So it's like whatever, I can just forget about it. I'd rather just sit here and dissociate for now, right? Leave me alone. Where's your phone? I don't know, right? I don't need it. And then I get my phone and I've got like 50, 11 messages from everybody.
It's a systemic problem, not personal weakness.
So now we jump into compassion fatigue. Yeah. The difference
Mm,
between compassion fatigue and burnout was
yeah.
popularized by Charles Figley, who was a trauma psychologist. He studied the impact of secondary trauma exposure on therapists, social workers, and emergency personnel. His definition is that compassion fatigue is the emotional and physical exhaustion that helpers experience after prolonged exposure to others' trauma, which is different from burnout in many ways.
This
Has
is their therapist hearing and sitting in other people's trauma all day. This is first responders repeatedly seeing crisis scenes,
Yep.
nurses in emergency medicine, military supporting struggling troops. Like, it is the constant of just having exposure to others' exposures.
I think someone we didn't mention before that this kind of just gave me a squirrel moment in that, like, we say doctors, we say nurses, first responders, but like veterinarians, I imagine they're high up on that list too, in terms of even compassion fatigue, not just burnout, because of they're seeing sick and injured animals that can't be helped or need to be put to sleep, which is an awful thing to experience personally, but also as the doctor, you're the one doing it. So I feel like we need to include them into that too.
Absolutely. And like this comes with emotional numbness, avoidance, because there's going to be certain times this pops up and you'd be like, I really don't feel like sitting with this today.
You
I
don't
don't
have
want
the
to
spoons
hear enough.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the wherewithal just to hear any more of it. Unfortunately, for some that don't have their own therapist or that are not able to emotionally share with others, they start having intrusive thoughts about clients' trauma.
Yeah. It happens every now. I mean, like we've been doing this long enough, I think, now where for the most part we can do it, right? Like we function, we do this thing, which is something that you learn over time clinically, but also there are some that will still get stuck up here for us that will impact us because we're human beings, we're not robots. Same with doctors, like everybody else that works as a helper in the field, we're not robots. So we feel things for our people that we're interacting with.
But oh my God, therapists need therapists.
Absolutely. As someone who saw her therapist today, all good therapists have therapists.
Yes.
We don't, and not just therapists, but like everybody else. Like if you are in a helping profession where you could be vicariously exposed to trauma, whatever that looks like, it doesn't make you weak or whatever that stigma is that you need a therapist. Like sometimes you just need that day or that session to just word vomit stuff.
Because a lot of times, like, you do lose that empathetic responses, you lose compassion because you have just again it's sitting in other people's stuff for so long. You're like, I don't know how to do this anymore.
I think I just lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about caregivers.
We're about to touch on that here in a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll wait then. Maybe it'll come back to
Yeah.
me.
But
I
I
don't know
mean,
why this is always a struggle.
when you do, like, people will sit with their clients, or when we're because burnout can lead to this, and I think that's big to point out on, like, on the chart. It's like it goes in a circle. It's more like burnout, compassion, fatigue. You know what? OnlyFans looks okay now.
Yep. It's a flow chart of your overwhelm, right?
Because you'll be sitting there and somebody just tells you something horrible, and your brain goes, I cannot process this anymore.
Not another thing. Not one more single thing, regardless of what it is. It's too much.
I think a hard part is, especially for students, is to notice if they're at this point, because some are coming from either volatile or high stress inducing internship sites and coming into a more, okay, this is a little more relaxed, but it is very,
Structured.
yep, structured, and we intense populations.
I also feel like here's another, we have to say this again. When Peggy mentioned, therapists sitting and listening to trauma stories all day, I hear one more person again say that our job is easy because we just sit and listen to people talk. It is so much more than that. We are holding that space and that trauma for them, and we're reliving it with them if that's what they're doing or telling us about it. It's emotionally draining, right? I'm sitting in this chair or that one. Physically, it's not draining. Emotionally, it takes a toll. for a lot of people in the helping professions, but I can't speak for them because I'm not any of them. I can only speak as a therapist.
Because a lot of these jobs all have exposures and they are all demanding and they all come with their own set of
Yeah.
BS.
In one way or another, they're all, exposure, regardless of what it is. It doesn't have to be the kind of stuff we sit with, but trauma is trauma and it's subjective on your own experience.
Make sure you're knowing the difference. Burnout is my workload, my environment are absolutely getting to me. And compassion fatigue means I have trauma exposure and I am not dealing with it well.
And sometimes they're mutually exclusive in that you are experiencing them at the same time, right? Like Peggy said, it becomes this cycle, this
Mhm.
flow chart of your functioning going right down into hell, which only perpetuates the cycle more, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about caregivers.
Caregiver stress is heavily studied in medical and gerontology fields. Much of the early research came from family caregivers of dementia patients. One major contributor, Steve Zarrett, who developed the Zarrett Burden Interview, a tool measuring caregiver burnout. So, non professional caregiving examples like aging parents, spouses with illness, parenting a child with special needs. We know this. Me and you have felt this before we became therapists. We
Yeah.
have kiddos on the spectrum.
I
Mine,
learned it while becoming a therapist.
mm-hmm. You know, Lucas was nonverbal. We couldn't get his needs met, those kinds of things. All he did was scream at me. And so and therefore, at a point, I was screaming back at him.
Yeah.
Like there was just
Dysregulation.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes with a lot of guilt and exhaustion and feeling trapped and no time off. And there are a lot of studies on this where caregivers have some of the same symptoms of PTSD, and it's understandable.
I so resonate with that. And I read that study that they did on caregivers of children with special needs, where they compared like the way that they were feeling to people who had been in combat. And like their cortisol levels are the same, like the way they feel is the same in terms of like this hypervigilance of like what's going to happen next. Are we going to wake up tomorrow and have a good day, or is it going to be the same shit in a different day like we've been doing, which is highly stressful, especially when it's the kids. And then there's that guilt that sets in of like, I'm not doing enough, or I shouted back because I was frustrated. I'm a horrible parent now, instead of just acknowledging that you're reactive and you're overwhelmed and you need a break. Feeling trapped, no time off, especially if you have a kid that's on the spectrum or has special needs. There's also that guilt that loops back into being like, I need time to myself, but I know no one's going to take care of my kid the way that I do, or be able to interpret what it is that he needs because he's with you all the time. So then there's the burden of putting that onto somebody else, and there's like guilt seeps in. So it's like,
Or
that's why
not
caregivers are,
not wanting to share the responsibility with your spouse even,
or maybe
because
they feel
again,
like they can't.
yeah, just because it's like I can do this the best.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, I've got it. And it's like, and many first responders, therapists, and everything, like they're caregivers at home. So it's like we have this dual role. So it's like I'm going to deal with all the fuckery that came with work today, and I'm gonna
Right.
go home and deal with some more. Whether it is caring for your aging parents, because I know a lot of us are coming into coming into those roles
Right.
of I'm having to make my dad's appointments and be his secretary and manage all of his stuff, and then I'm having to manage the spicy team and do this, and I'm like, you know what, I'm okay, I'm okay.
I think too, when we're talking about like adults being caregivers for like their adult parents or family members, they're also, for maybe some couples, comes us like this power exchange in terms of like, well, that's your mom or that's your dad or whatever. So then it adds to that feeling of responsibility and feeling trapped because it's like, well, it's my mom, it's my responsibility. Instead of, no, no, we agreed to like have this person come here, and it would be the same if it was their parent or vice versa, right? So there's even more feeling of being trapped, and especially if you're in one of these helping professions, right? Where you're like teachers, teachers, nurses, what's another one where they're caregiving at work and then they're caregiving at home in a different way.
But yeah, anything in the hospital zone,
Right. That
nursing
that then
homes,
that
anything like that. Yeah.
that always makes me think of that video that floated around, and I don't know if it's from a movie or a show or whatever, but it's this interaction and they're having a conversation about everything that they're doing, all these things that they've achieved and who they're taking care of, and the other person says, "Well, who takes care of you?" If you can't answer that, we have a problem, right? Who is taking care of you when you need it? When you can't be 100% and you need someone to meet you in the middle? If you can't answer that, we have a serious problem.
Yeah, and that's a fun question to ask. And then it's like, if I turn this question back around on myself, gross.
We're not talking about us. Moving on. No, I feel very supported by the people around me, right? Like people check in, especially like you and Christina check it in to make sure if I'm not responding, like, are you well? Christina doesn't have a choice because I sense that disturbance in the force, right? I'm like, something's off, right? Like, what's going on? And I'm messaging her. I feel a disturbance in the force. Are you way unwell? Which is actually probably more of a trauma response, but it's fine. We can all check on each other. You should be doing that. You should have people checking on you.
But
I
how do
get
you
nervous.
but how do you notice that your give a damn is broken?
I lack empathy. I don't give a shit anymore. Everything pisses me off.
Yeah. You fantasize about quitting your job and just opening a goat farm like 5 acres and no one around me. Sounds awesome sometimes.
First of all, I could still do my job and have a llama farm because goats are creepy. That's my Roman Empire. Goats with their horns and their weird eyes, they creep me out. Maybe it's some internal fear I have, but I'll take a llama farm. Or
Like I
maybe you
don't
want to be a metro driver like Sabina.
like eh, this is fair and unfair to like some of our veterans and like first responders. But it's when dark humor becomes your only coping mechanism.
Right. People who make a joke out of every single thing. It's like,
Like maybe one too many dead baby jokes.
right, right. Because it's aversive to a lot of people, that dark humor and
Hmm.
what kind of jokes they're getting. So it kind of puts them off, which essentially is very this avoidant behavior of like, well, if I say these things and it's offensive and they back away,
It,
then
it,
that's what
it,
I want
it
internally.
comes off as like I think we went one over the line.
Yeah. Too far.
Dad jokes cool. Now we're crossing into some really dark shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you're just kind of like, we're gonna just speed on past that and just right on to the next topic because I don't even know what to say to that.
Exactly.
Moving on.
All the small things just irritate the crap out of me. I mean, like somebody drops a spoon and I'm ready to because like
Yes.
I'm just like so overwhelmed by everything. And so like I'm on sensory overload. I know
Hmm.
everybody else and like my husband's like, is it menopause or more?
The thing that always sets me off is my floor is not being swept and feeling like I'm walking on sand. And I question how nobody else notices it but me, but it really that's always a thing that like pushes me off the edge of the cliff. The craziest things could have happened that day, awful horrible things. Maybe I cried a lot, who knows. I get home and I'm okay and I step foot on my floor and I feel one crumb and I'm like,
I feel like if we got to the point where we just dread work that you used to care about, and I know that some people are really in that space.
yeah.
They don't want to do it anymore.
We don't mean you don't love like we don't mean that what am I trying to say?
Like you
That
love
you
the
hate
work
your
you,
job.
yeah, like
Right.
you love what you do or loved what you used to do,
Yeah.
but you're no longer in that headspace to be able to like, maybe we need to explain spoon theory.
I was just thinking that. We always say, I guess it is a theory. I never knew that it actually was. I'm going to pull it up. Spoon theory was coined by Christine Misser and Dino. Please don't come for me if I said that wrong. It's a disability metaphor for managing chronic illness, mental health, where spoons represent your limited daily supply of energy. Healthy people have an endless supply. But those with chronic illness or mental illness start with a limited countable amount, like maybe I only have 12. Every action costs a spoon, like showering, working, socializing. When all your spoons are gone, you cannot do anything else. That forces you to make choices on how to use them, which often requires us to take a step back and rest, which feels gross for those of us in the helping professions, right? If you run out, you run out. So then you have to borrow from tomorrow's spoons, which then leads to what, Peggy? Burnout, right? If you're always borrowing from tomorrow, you've got nothing left because eventually everything is going to run out. The goal is it's like to communicate boundaries, manage your energy, and explain to others why tasks require conscious planning, right? Like you work all day and your spouse was home that day, and you walk in the door and they're like, "What do you want for dinner?" I don't know, just order something, right? No, just tell me what you want, I'll order it. You have zero spoons left to make any decisions that might impact anything in any way. You just need someone to like meet you there and say, no, no, I got you. I know you like this. Here you go. Because your
But
spoons are gone. They're gone.
unfortunately, most of us are going into the negative
Yes. Oh,
by
yeah.
the time Saturday arrives. And like we started Friday with negative spoons.
And it, the offset to that is that when you're constantly running, borrowing from the next day, so then you're in the negative and you're always running out, that leads to like this debilitating fatigue, right? Like it's not just being sleepy, it's like an whole body fatigue, mentally, emotionally, like physically, you are checked out, done, because you got nothing left to give. So it's like you kind of just shut down.
That's why we suck at taking care of ourselves.
Right. Well, because self care feels selfish,
Mhm.
right? Like saying, you know what, I am not going to be in the office today because I'm not feeling well mentally or whatever that looks like. I don't have any spoons left. That feels selfish because I don't want to say we're fixers, but we're in a helping profession where we are servicing other people in that way that also need help. So it feels very selfish of us to say, no, 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 I got to take a step back.
Because we tend to be overly responsible and try to do all the things. I don't know about you, but like, well, you know me. I'm like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And then at home, I have to do this and this and this and this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I did tell my therapist today, and I was not lying, that I have been better about doing that, right? Like trying to be over responsible and doing all the things myself, which is really just like hyper independence. If you're setting the people around you up for failure, like, oh, they can't do it like me. That's true. Nobody's going to do it the way you would. They're going to do it the way that they do it. You got to find a way to be okay with the way that they're doing it if you are out of spoons. Because,
Difficulty saying no. Difficulty
oh my
saying
God.
no.
Hold on. I need to talk about my soapbox on saying no for a moment. Okay. Here's my soapbox on everybody. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to this. If you have a hard time saying no, it's because you're a people pleaser. Okay. You got to protect yourself. If someone asks you to do something and your immediate answer is not yes, then the answer is no. Okay. If you're not like, oh, I need to think about it. No, that's a no. That means that you want to say no, but you don't know how to say no. So if immediately you're not like, yeah, sure, of course, the answer is no. If you're like, oh, maybe, guess what? The answer is no. Because what you really wanted to say was no. That's my soapbox on saying no. And also, it's a complete sentence. I don't need to give you a reason why I'm saying no. I can just say, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. That doesn't work for my schedule. It doesn't work for me. Or just, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
This next one is kind of unique too, is your identity is attached to helping. Look, your identity is who you are. So, like, my name is Peggy. My name is Peggy Hahn. That is it. I do not go around telling everybody, hi, my name is Peggy Hahn, LPC.
Stop it. Also, not everybody knows what LPC means. So they're like, okay, I don't know what that means, but
Look, my job is being a therapist, but it is not all of me. It is
no.
a part, but it is not my entire identity and who I am. And I just don't go around telling everybody I'm a therapist.
Also, I feel like therapists don't want people to know they're therapists because then if you're like in public or on a plane or
I
whatever and they
mean,
find out, you're like,
but any profession, they don't typically go around just letting everybody know this is what they do.
I can think of one, but I don't know that I want to throw shade.
It's not throw shade. There are, but it tends to be, and I think this is all of their professions, like the broy ones of all of them. Because again, that's their identity tied to it.
Yeah. It's also a seeking of validation, but it's fine.
Exactly.
I don't want people to know I'm a therapist. And the people that do, I'm like, shh,
Yeah.
no, set that boundary. No, especially if you're like a doctor or a
No,
nurse
nobody
practitioner.
wants to know. Mm-mm.
Well, and also keeping that to yourself will save you a lot of trouble.
Mhm. Oh,
Find what it is that you actually are and things that you, I don't want to say identify with, but like, I'm a therapist, I'm a mom, I'm a plant mom. Okay. Trying to help Peggy there. It's fine. Reagan
I
is hopeless.
am. I'm
Although
doing better.
I haven't had an update on Reagan's plants yet, but the last time I saw them, they were a hot mess. So kept trying to redirect my attention. However, you got to find something that also, what's the word I'm looking for? Like defines you aside from your job. Because if that's the only thing you have, you're going to get burnout so quick because it takes over every facet of your life.
Let's see. Per- I am. This is my worst one. Is perfectionism.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm a perfectionist. I feel like I'm more of an like I just have to do all the things and that I'm an overachiever, but
You're the
just
overachiever. I need to do all the things. Okay. I need to like. This is why I do the outlines. Shit.
first of all, you just started doing that. Nobody asked you to do it, which has been super helpful because I overthink it. And maybe that is a sign of like being a perfectionist and that I want it to be just right. But also, I know that my ADHD brain is going to read a sentence that Peggy writes and go a totally different direction with it, which is why I write down things and take notes and come at it from a different way because I'm like, what are we talking about today? What's going on? Also, I want to make sure that I'm saying things right and accurate. A, because this is what we're here for. Two, because I need it to be just perfect.
Because I'm like, watch me with the kitties at work and everything. I'm like, this is how we do it.
I remember when Christina and I did that one with Mary from the Taylor Foundation.
Like,
Christina
exactly.
was like, she's like, I did an outline. And I was like, you did? And I looked at it and I was like, I forwarded it to Peggy. I was like, please fix it, Jesus. Fix it, Jesus. Because I don't know that Christina and I, our brains go in like how she does the outlines. I don't care. It's like perfect. And then I always go and add things or change it or whatever. And she does all the things all the time. I'm like, hey, Peggy, can you? She's like, I did it. It's done. I started your presentation for you. Thanks. And then I'll change it 11 times because I want it to be just right. You guys are
Like,
not alone out here. It's more common than you think. But how do you fix it?
and it sounds like no duh. Reduce the load. Like you cannot self-care your way out of an impossible workload.
No, because it doesn't ever go away and you stay behind always.
Like
You can take care of
I
yourself, feel better, but it's there.
I had to go, you know what? I need every other Friday off. I need to not have 40 patients and students and group supervision. I can't do all of it. Like I'm okay, backing off like when I started discharging people, not taking on a whole bunch of new people. I was okay
Right.
with that. And like I had to learn and like really fight with that internal struggle going, but you can do more. Bitch, back off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I say that too. Remember, I was like, oh, my Monday is free now. Maybe I should take on more patients. And you and Christina were like, no, you got to have a reprieve, right? You
Yeah.
can't self-care, vacation, or medicate your way out of a possible workload. It's not
Yeah.
going anywhere, right?
So you were staying up till what, like 2 a.m., like giving yourself anxiety about things not being done.
That was me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm tired, but I can't sleep because I'm stressed. And now sleep is a lot easier because the hyper fixation on like all these things I have to be doing and that there's not enough hours in the day and I have to stay up all the time is gone.
Like your
Also, like,
stress was giving you stress.
right. I tell Tim all the time, I'm like, your anxiety is giving me anxiety. I need you to calm down. Like, you're stressing me out. All right. I'm already stressed. I don't need your stress too. Okay. Take it back.
uh,
Take it back.
Boundaries. I cannot reiterate boundaries enough. And this is something I try to teach students appropriately, like from the get, because I know I sucked at this because I wasn't taught it as a student at all. So I sucked at it as a resident and I got yelled at it about it a lot as a resident because we
I don't
support
know that I had
people.
that.
Yeah, we support, well, because you had Christina and I didn't as a student.
Yeah. And there was lots of conversations like, if you don't work on your boundaries now, you'll never have them. Or you'll have them, but they won't be as strong as they should be. And so, do I support my patients? Yes. I care about them because I'm a human. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this profession. Do I worry about them if something happens or maybe they don't show up or they've emailed me and said I need an emergency session? Well, now I'm worried, but I don't carry all of their stuff with me all the time, right? Like there's not this, I don't want to call it codependence because it's not totally that, but it's close in terms of just being so overwhelmed and not being able to zoom out on like work stuff and stepping into that other role that you have and leaving that at work.
Nervous system rest. Again, it sounds like a no-brainer, but we're looking for the time to do these things, and I know that is hard. But chronic stress dysregulates the body,
And if you're
right?
already living in survival mode, now you're even worse because you don't even know how to reset your nervous system or regulate, period. So it's all just burying you alive, literally.
Like movement. Like I know I work at home, so I have to get out and walk my anxiety ridden dog because she needs movement too.
She really is a handful.
Sleep. I have a very rigid, hard boundary with my people, and Brittany knows this. She's very
She
aware of
really does.
this. Like, I do not answer texts after a certain time. I am not answering you after 9 p.m. my time because I'm
You
going
also
to be in
don't
bed.
answer text messages after work generally, right? Like, unless something happens, I know that I could call her if I needed to, but if I'm just texting her, she is not going to respond until the next day. And usually it's with the phone call that we always have where we talk about what I sent her. If we're in our group message and it's late, Christina's like, we need to move to private because it's past Peggy's bedtime.
I'm going to be in bed at 9 p.m. because, like, I need 30 minutes to actually calm my butt down, another 30 minutes to have a hot flash, and then go to sleep.
She's like, I have to schedule my hot flashes. I can't relate. Time outdoors. Time
Do
outdoors.
we have to say this and get a sticker to put in the office? Go touch grass.
I'm gonna get a little patch of grass to just be like, here, you need to touch some grass. Maybe I should grow some grass in a thing and be like, here, touch some grass.
You could do it with chia seeds.
I could do it with chia seeds. And not even necessarily out. I mean, outdoors is good. Go touch some grass, put your feet in the dirt, go to the beach, whatever that looks like. But doing outdoorsy things, like I really enjoy cleaning my car when I'm alone and I can just zone out and do that thing because it's very relaxing for me. Plant stuff, super relaxed. That's the only time my mind shuts off. Maybe I'm outdoors, maybe I'm not, but it feels outdoorsy because I'm playing in dirt.
I think reducing screen time is very important. Look, we are all attached to our phones, our iPads, our computers, all the things, and it is easy to doom scroll. Like it, we get into TikTok, Instagram, whatever you're on, and just get lost and zone out and dissociate from there.
Right.
Um,
And depending on your algorithm and what you've been watching, some of that stuff, I can't tell you how much better I feel decreasing my screen time, but because the majority of the stuff you see is negative. It's about world events, it's about politics, it's about awful things happening around the world. Not that those things aren't important, but you don't have to carry that either, right?
time.
When someone comes to tell me something that's going on, and I was like, wait, I want you to really think about what you're about to tell me. And if if I really need to know. Is it need to know? Then keep it to yourself because all that does is stress me out. And I don't need any more added stress. So like setting the boundary to like not doom scroll, not be on social media or like hide or say, look, I don't want to see stuff like this anymore on social media. So your algorithm catches up. Maybe that's something that you need to do. It's great. I rarely ever get on social media anymore, which is nice. And when I get home, I'm done. Like I'm not on my computer. I'm not on my iPad. The only screen time I have is the TV.
Your support is, I think, one of your greatest things that you can do. I, being a telehealth provider, I am extremely isolated. I found
Yes.
Brittany in residency. And literally right when I started, because I was just looking for somebody to connect with, and she provided me her phone number, was like, hey, if you need something, let me know. And I literally just started calling her one day and was like,
And then she
hi.
never stopped. I was trying to think about that one day where I was like, how did that even start? And I think it was when I was because you were a resident and I was intake coordinator in between being a student and a resident. So I was scheduling patients you had just started. So we were talking a lot then. And I think maybe something just clicked where then we talked all the time. And I can set my watch by her phone calls. And God forbid I go over like 20 minutes without calling back. And she's like, you good? You alive? What's going on? But I know that I
Or
always
if
have that
I
phone
don't
call.
call you, you're like, oh, so you don't love me today, huh?
So you say you don't love me? Because usually it's on your schedule if you're busy. And then I have remembered, I'm like, oh yeah, she's got this today or whatever. But I do give her a hard time. I don't even bother to call her in the morning because she's going to call me first. Sometimes I have to call back. But aside from that, that's important to have someone, even if you're not talking about the things that are going on, which we do, but also just that other person that you know you can depend on to be there regardless.
Find your weird person just
Yeah.
to, you need someone to be able to relate to bounce off of, whether it is about work or just life.
Yeah. I mean, that's like earlier this week. I was like, I need you to call me after your session. And immediately she's like, what's wrong? I was like, just call me. Right. Because I was having problems and I was like, I need another brain in this, like in this situation, in this equation, if you feel me. I need a secondary brain that is spicy to help me break this down. And that's okay. It's fine. Can't do
I
it
think
all the time.
supervision, peer consultation, they matter. Not constellation crystal.
Don't make fun of her.
I will never not that is my child. I can do what I want.
See, the constellation thing was funny, but also the nature versus neuter
I will never
like
let her
gets me going every
live
time.
that down.
I wish for with everything that I could remember that embarrassing, inappropriate-ish thing I said in session one day on accident. That was very similar to nature versus neuter. And when I said it, my patient was like, "What'd you
She was trying to say nature versus nurture,
say?"
and it came
Nurture.
out nature versus neuter. The person just rolled with it, was like, yeah, chop his balls off. And I went, oh my God.
That patient's a legend. That they were able, or and quick too, because I don't know that I'd be that fast to like respond to something like that. But that's great.
I'm just sitting here serious.
Isolation makes it
Mm-hmm.
worse too.
Yeah.
So then we're stuck in that cycle still.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
if your give a damn feels broken, it doesn't mean you stop caring.
it usually means you've cared for too long with zero support or help.
And
So
sometimes the
maybe,
healthiest, yeah, but sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is take a step back, reset, rebuild your capacity to care in whatever way that looks like. If taking a step back means, okay, I need to reduce my caseload, I need to take an actual break because I haven't done so in 2 years because, residency, I am desperate to get my hours and get my license. Pause and think about what that actually means. What that looks like in your work right now. Whatever that is, whether you are a cop, whether you are a nurse. How's your burnout or your compassion fatigue affecting your work and your ability to actually care for people?
and in certain situations, if it's bad enough, you actually present more of a danger or detriment to the people you're serving or trying to help if you're not doing that enough or not aware of it, right? There's that conversation with somebody in the medical field that's like, I'm unwell today. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be at work. And I understand and acknowledge that like a lot of workplaces are not helpful and or open to people being like, I need a mental health day. But you have to advocate for yourself in some way because if you're distracted, you're burnt out, you're distracted, you're not giving patients your total focus, and then you make mistakes.
Yeah. Because
Sometimes they're the big ones.
because we abide by, and we went over this in ethics and morals recently, do no harm.
Right.
And if you're burnt out and you're in compassion fatigue, you're entering that territory.
It's a hard thing to admit, but once you're there and you're like, yes, this is it. This is happening for me. I got to figure out a way out of it using the support of people around you and whatever strategies you already have, or maybe getting new ones with your therapist is kind of like key to figuring out how to get out and stay out.
Sometimes we just gotta look at ourselves and really do that self-reflection and be honest with ourselves.
Like, is my give a damn actually broken service, right? Am I experiencing this compassion fatigue? Maybe I need to take a step back. You got to do what works for you and take care of yourself. Even though Peggy says you can't self care your way out of burnout, which is true, but it does kind of start there. Noticing that you need more time or you need less patience or less work and speaking up about that so you can get under control and maybe slowly you can work back up to that. But maybe you'll never go back to that because that's what perpetuated that cycle to begin with. It's not weakness. Okay, let's normalize it. I would say that most of the workforce is burnt out, right? So go talk to somebody. You know how to get in touch with us, right? You need help, we got you. Go talk to somebody, talk to your friends, family, a therapist, a doctor, somebody, and take time for yourself.
Thank you for all listening today. Please like, share, follow. You're getting her anger face, so thank you for that.
Do it. Do it. I need Christina to insert the Starsky and Hutch gif where he's like, do it. Yes, please. Please like, share, subscribe. And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
We want to thank you for tuning into this episode of Holding the Line with Got Your Six, where we are just a bunch of therapists who talk about the shit nobody wants to talk about. We hope you got something useful out of it. Stay tuned for more of our upcoming episodes every other week posted to our YouTube channel, Holding the Line GYS. If you want to help support our podcast, please like this video and subscribe to our channel and share this video with others who think they get something useful out of it. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram where we will post useful information, dark humor, and more of the shit nobody wants to talk about. Go forth and do magical shit, everyone.
See, burnout is such a hard thing. Because like we all like teeter, I think, that line.
What's going to be the thing that pushes me into the pit of burnout?
Exactly. Because it's like, am I burnout or do I just need a vacation?
Maybe both. You can have both.
And I
If you
think that's
can't
a
remember the last time you
fair
had a
thing.
vacation,
I wasn't like comfortable with it in like residency, especially. Like, I can't take time off. That's inappropriate. Like, I think that was like the struggle with me. What are my patients going to do? And it wasn't until like Christina, I think, was ready to like, she's like, I cannot shake you through this camera, but she was like, your patients are going to be fine. If they're too unwell to deal with you for a week, then they don't need to be here.
or even two, right? Because say you're on vacation and then you come back, you're sick, your kids are sick, whatever, and you're canceling again. There is that guilt, but also if they can't go without seeing you for a week or two max in a row, maybe they need a higher level of care.
Getting comfortable enough to actually take care of myself again, because I was like, I've already went through this taking care of the nonverbal one, and now I'm trying to figure out how to take care of a bunch of adults now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like giving yourself the permission to just rest or permission to just do nothing or do something that you're interested in doing or you enjoy doing aside from like the endless workload, which is either work or home or cleaning or whatever that looks like, giving yourself permission to be like, no, I deserve to just sit here, right? Like I just worked 5 days in a row, 6 days in a row, however many days in a row you work, to say, well, now I'm going to take this day. It's my first day off. I'm going to rest today. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of people have a hard time giving themselves permission for it.
Yeah, I think it was coming from like me and you having to bounce off of each other. Do it. Just do it.
There are a lot of times where I'm like, I am so done. I don't have the spoons left. And internally, I know I need to just take the day. Cancel people, take the day, whatever that looks like. But there is a part of me that always feels like I need someone to like validate that for me and be like, screw it. Just take the day. You need it. Like, it's whatever. Because there is that guilt. I have no problem telling you to take a day off or telling other people to take a day off, but I need someone to tell me I need to take a day off.
Yeah.
I need someone to validate that for me to be like, no, it's fine. That's valid. Take a day.
Yeah, because especially like when I am like not feeling it or not feeling good and you're like, would you just take today off? And I'm like, fight me.
Mm-hmm. And then usually halfway through the day, she's like, I'm done. I'm all done. But I know that, and I had said this earlier, that I feel like a lot of employers don't care. It feels like they don't care because their policies for attendance and such is awful.
Will be the first one to tell us, why are you here today? Why are you working? Go lay down, go get a snack, go watch some TV or read a trash book. Please go away.
Residency, I think it was harder in residency because, like you said, we're pushing for hours, especially at the end. I was like, I'm not taking time off. I'm so close. Right. So
we were like dying.
Right. And I feel like now it's better. Like before, I would push through migraine, sick, not feeling. I was like, I'll wear a mask. It's fine. Instead of being like, no, because then I would never get well. I just stayed sick. And every time I would take time off, my body was like, whoa, here you go. Here's another illness. So then I couldn't enjoy whatever time I took off. So then you have to realize, like, well, the more time I take off, the more. Right.
We were trash.
We were trash. I think it also comes with like time and like getting to know yourself and what it is that you need. It's like, I don't have anything left for today. And then managing or coming to a compromise with yourself like I did earlier this week. Like, okay, I have spoons for this, but I don't have spoons for that. And that's all I'm going to be able to give.
It was a learning experience.
It's okay to say I have no spoons left.
Yep. I think those are.
And then you got to talk to somebody about how to stop borrowing from tomorrow's spoons.
Stop borrowing from tomorrow.
Good luck.